Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Clayton Soda. I'm the chairman of the Cape Ann Political Action Committee.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And we welcome you to this event to meet 3 of the 4 mayoral candidates who will be on the Gloucester Municipal Preliminary Ballot next Tuesday, September 19th. The 4th candidate, incumbent Greg Verga, had a scheduling conflict and could not make it tonight. This has been called a debate, and we would like it to be more of a forum for an open and respectful discussion. The subjects we have chosen for questions are only a few of the issues in our city. We encourage your input and ideas during the audience question and answer section. I'd like to start by welcoming the Gloucester High School JROTC to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Stand there for a minute, make sure I can hear.
Ready. Face. Present. Arms. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order. Arms. Ready. Dismissed.
Thank you to the JROTC. I'd also like to thank our CPAC team, the Gloucester High School faculty and staff, the members of the National Honor Society, the candidates, our audience, and our moderator for making this debate possible. For your information, there is a scanning code on the debate brochures that will lead to our website, which is presently under construction. If you would like to get on our mailing list, there are sign-in sheets here, or just email me at my address on the brochure and I'll sign you up. Our moderator this evening is Christine Delicio. Ms. Delicio is an attorney who lives in Manchester and serves on the Manchester Planning Board. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ms. Christine Delicio.
Thank you. All right. Good evening, everyone. Good evening and welcome to the 2023 primary debate for the mayoral race of Gloucester. Can everyone hear me? Okay, great. All right, I'm Christine Delicio and I'm a resident in neighboring Manchester and I'm an elected member of the planning board. I am honored to be your moderator this evening. Okay. First, I would like everyone to do me a favor. I have been told that cell phones interrupt with the acoustics. So if everyone please could turn their cell phones off, not just mute, that would be very helpful. I think we all want to hear every word of what the candidates have to say. We don't want to be interrupted with dings. I think they pop up with the remote speakers. So please, please turn your phones completely off. Thank you.
How do you turn this?
We have 4 candidates, as Clayton mentioned, running for mayor, and 3 who are able to be with us tonight. The candidates are in alphabetical order. Tracy O'Neill.
Thank you.
Mary Ellen Rose. And Francisco Scalafani. Welcome, candidates. Our program tonight is expected to last 2 hours and will run in 3 parts. First, the candidates will have 1 minute to introduce themselves and their campaign platform. I will call you each in alphabetical order, starting with Tracy. My expectation is that everyone will be respectful of time. Bud Hobbs in the front row will be assisting me keeping everyone scheduled. Thank you. After the introductions, I will ask each of the candidates a series of 8 questions. These questions were shared with the candidates ahead of time. I am very much in favor of being prepared. Sharing the questions allows the candidates to respond with thorough answers to the important issues that residents of Gloucester are interested in. It also gives everyone access to the same information. The order for answering these 8 questions was determined by drawing numbers from a hat some of you may have seen earlier this evening. The first candidate to answer will be Tracy. Tracy, you're on first twice tonight. All right. The next question will be answered by the candidate seated to the right, which is Mary Ellen, and we will continue that pattern until we are through back to the beginning. Each candidate will have 90 seconds to answer. Once all the candidates have answered the question, they will have a 30-second follow-up if they choose. So each candidate will have 30 seconds at the end. Does that make sense?
Yes. Sure.
No. Tracy will start, 90 seconds. Mary Ellen, you will have 90 seconds. Francisco will have 90 seconds. And then Tracy will have 30. You will have 30.
Rebuttals.
Francisco will have
Okay.
30. Okay. All right. Thank you. Please ask any questions if we are not clear. This part of the program is anticipated to last 1 hour. We will then take a 10-minute short recess. The final part of the program will be an open mic for the audience to ask questions. I ask that each person asking a question wait for a microphone and state their name. You'll be given 1 minute to ask your question, and each candidate will be given 1 minute to respond. Just as before you had 90 seconds, this time you have 1, and then we will go through at the end, and you will each have 20 seconds to rebut each other's answers. At the end of the audience question, each candidate will be given an opportunity for a 1-minute closing argument. And we are going to keep in the order that we started with Tracy.
So I have a question. Yeah. Are you going to make Tracy answer every question first?
No, you're second.
Okay.
Question number 2, you are first.
Okay.
Question number 3, Francisco's
That
first.
didn't, okay, good.
Does that make sense?
That didn't
Okay.
seem fair.
Nope. No. All right, we ask all members of the audience to refrain from clapping, speaking, or otherwise interrupting during the questions and answer period of debate. Applause should be saved for the opening and closing statements of the candidates. I hope everyone's excited. I am, so let's get started. All right, so first off is Tracy. You have 1 minute to introduce yourself and your platform.
You don't have to settle for what people tell you. You don't have to settle for things the way they are. You have a say in what happens to your city, what happens to our city. What goes on in your city is up to you and the administration. As your mayor, my administration will be open and transparent. I will tell you what's going on. I will email you. I will post on Facebook. I will use the electronic signs that we use at the Rotary to let you know when important meetings are going on. I will send you links to Zoom meetings. You need to know what's going on. Don't let your future be decided by 8 or 9 people.
10 seconds.
You don't have to settle for that. Thank you. My name is Tracy O'Neill. I'm asking for your vote on September 19th. Thank you.
Gloucester is, first and foremost, a community. We may be made up of smaller groups centered around our personal interests, religion, financial status, business dealings, or any other element, but most importantly, we are all part of the Gloucester community. My interest in running for mayor is to preserve that sense of community that makes us who we are and who we've been for 400 years. I want every member of this community to feel like they are an important part of the fabric that holds us together. Your voice, thoughts, perceptions, experiences, and perspectives are very important to what makes this city tick. Under the current administration, you have been cast aside, discounted, intimidated, and left out of the loop of truly important work of this city's present and future functioning. I have witnessed this management style firsthand, And I can assure you it is wrong and not in your best interest. As mayor, you have the choice to choose how you use your power. You can close the door to those who don't agree with you, or you can use your power to clear the entryway and allow collaboration, cooperation, and community-focused governing. That's my intention. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Ellen. Francisco?
Just start talking?
That's it?
Yep. All right, we the people have decided to repurpose the closed East Elementary School in Ward 1 to have it refurbished and rededicated as the new East Memorial Fire Station. If you ever study statistics, our ancestors recorded the fact there's been a fire station in that block for over 300 years. Ward 1 only has one road going into it and one road going out. It's densely populated and all the buildings are made out of wood. So Chapel Street is a vital strategic location for a fire station. And as your new mayor, I'll supervise the removal of all those children playground toys at that school. 10 seconds ago. And we'll relocate all that playground equipment to Stage Fort Park.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so now we're going to start with the 8 questions. Just as a refresher, Tracy will start. She has 90 seconds to answer the question, then Mary Ellen will go, and Francisco. Then Mary Ellen will have 30 seconds to respond, and vice versa, and we'll start with Mary Ellen with the second question. All right, question number 1 deals with the city budget. As a candidate for mayor, one of the largest concerns for Gloucester homeowners, renters, and business owners are taxes and the overall city budget. The city budget grows year after year with no apparent constraints on departments and spending. Given the state of economy and high inflation, would you consider a cap on spending in all departments to provide relief to Gloucester families who have been devastated by the increasing cost of food, clothing, fuel, healthcare, and housing over the last 2 years? You have 90 seconds. Tracy.
Thank you. Rather than cap it, as your mayor, I will cut spending 2% a year for 5 years. We have good, honest, hardworking people in this city, and I am confident that our managers, given the opportunity, will rise to the occasion of saving money for our city. After all, it saves money for them too. They're taxpayers as well. We could still maintain our vital services while we do this. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. Mary Ellen?
So taxes are a burden on everybody, and I think what frustrates everyone more than anything is what we get for what we pay and how that money is spent that the city controls. So the current budgeting system appears to be basically an exercise of spend it or lose it, barely track it, and don't worry about accountability. So what I want to introduce will be what's called performance-based budgeting, which means each department is charged with setting their goals for the fiscal year and then budgeting to achieve those goals. The mayor then takes all of those budgets, pulls it together, and compares it against what the goals are for the city. And then instead of just cutting, we're looking at putting our budget in place of our priorities first and foremost. What that does is your priorities actually get covered and your expenses are paid for not only because you've predicted them ahead of time, but the department heads are responsible for falling within the limits that they set for themselves. They should know what things cost and the resources that they'll need, and they should be able to set those budgets ahead of time. That's it. Oh, sorry, I know.
Thank you, Mary Ellen. Francisco?
I had several people ask for a senior citizen property tax discount. It sounds like a good program. I would have to run the numbers first for that to happen. And then I think we're really talking about the huge municipal debt we have. That's what holds us back. And the way that you will try to pay the municipal debt is you have to go back to the 11 and a half acres of land, the Fuller School complex that was stolen, embezzled, and sold for $4 million. I mean, that right there, it was the Cape Ann Savings Bank that financed that embezzlement. And I think if we sue the Cape Ann Savings Bank, liquidate it, and sue every one of those companies that built on that land, we can pretty much pay off the municipal debt.
Get more time.
More time. All right, so
Well, the candidates don't feel compelled to answer, you're able to use 90 seconds, but if it's your choice, you don't need to. But-
okay, that's good enough.
So Tracy? There is no clapping. So we are done with clapping until final remarks. Thank you. Tracy, do you have a final comment on question number 1?
By cutting the budget by 2%, we will lower taxes. So it's doable. It's not going to be easy, but nothing worth doing is ever easy. So it can be done, and we will do this. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. Mary Ellen?
I am not going to set a percentage. I think that's very bold of you, Tracy, and I appreciate that. But you need to be inside there to really see what's going on. And I can tell you that when I was in charge of budgeting and had a department, there is a lot of waste and a lot of tightening that can happen. And I plan to do that across all departments, working with all managers. And I am fully confident that they'll
Thank you,
be willing
Mary
to do
Ellen.
that.
Francisco?
This is really hard.
I'm good.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right, question number 2. We are going to start with Mary Ellen this time. And this question has to deal with zoning. The state of Massachusetts has mandated that municipalities enact multifamily zoning within 1/2 mile of the MBTA stations. The Gloucester downtown is already zoned for 2-family by right. MGL 40A would change that to have multifamily by right, defined as a 3-family or more and suitable for families with children. Other communities are claiming that the state mandate represents government overreach into local zoning in violation of the home rule authority granted to cities intended to enhance self-governance. Gloucester's home rule charter states that it has exclusive rights over local zoning. What is your position on this issue? You have 90 seconds.
From everything I've gathered on this subject, zoning is an incredibly complex issue with problems that go all the way back to when zoning was first developed. So first, to allow multifamily by right, will that solve our housing shortage? And it may, but at what cost? Do you really think that having more available housing, the cost will go down? This is not simply a supply and demand equation. If that were the case, we'd have solved our issue by now. If anything, this city is like the field of dreams. Build it and they will come. We keep building it and they keep coming, and our housing shortage is not getting fixed. It's not being addressed, and the people who live here are not getting the housing that we're building. And the housing that we are building is not affordable for the people who want to buy housing. So the state can push, and they can make a mandate, and they can have a law, but you need someone with a backbone who's going to say to the state, we are only so large, we can only do so much, and I am not going to tolerate pushing our city beyond our limits. It's that simple.
Well, thank you, Tracy.
It's okay.
Clapping.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
Uh,
we're getting used to it.
Francisco.
Yes, I know it's not what you want to hear, but I have every intention of impeaching Governor Maura Healey and impeaching Lieutenant Governor Kim Driscoll. The 275 buildable units around each train station, that's 550 buildable units. That comes to 33,500. The relocation of 33,500 illiterate migrants into Gloucester. Now, when you go to the store to reach for a gallon of milk, that gallon of milk's not going to be there because 33,500 illiterate migrants were there before you got there. Your happiness depends on how you vote in this election. That's a lot of people, 33,500. They're going to bring cars, say 10,000 cars parked downtown. 10,000 cars. You've seen the horrific congested traffic bottlenecks, spending time in the car, hours of your life you'll never get back, waiting in traffic. Imagine that with 10,000 more cars. It's just, you have to remember Cape Ann's an island, and we have a very limited supply of fresh drinking water. So I mean, when you're allowing 33,000.
Francisco.
10 seconds, Frank.
Okay, I'm good.
Tracy, you have 30 seconds if you would like to rebut anyone's answers.
Well, I haven't,
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm stuck with the first question. There we go. My apologies. You go. 90 seconds. Thank you.
Okay. Zoning, thank you so much for asking this question. This is right in my wheelhouse. I am very proud of the fact that I was instrumental in stopping the zoning amendments from passing last year. I worked very hard on that. I informed people, I emailed people, I called people, I Facebooked time and time again. We had meetings that went till midnight because of me, and I'm very proud of that. On day one of the O'Neill administration, I will withdraw Gloucester from the process that Mayor Verga started in January. From a practical standpoint, we need to evaluate our city resources, our infrastructure, water, sewer, our electrical grid. These are all currently at a deficit. We need to analyze our social services, schools, police, fire, etc. Last but not least, I know change is inevitable. However, whatever change happens has to be our decision, not the MBTA's, not the Department of Housing and Community Development,
Thank you, Tracy.
and not the Department of Transportation. Ours. Thank you.
Ariel, you have 30 seconds.
So what worries me most is what we've already agreed to with regard to this entire housing issue. And we do have the home rule charter that we have to back us up and use for defense. However, I think it would be really nice if the mayor himself would current mayor, would himself reveal to you what he has signed and what that holds us to legally. Because what we are going to be held to legally is going to become our problem when we become mayor. My problem when I become mayor. So, sorry, it's okay. I love Chase. So, anyway, I think it's a real problem. Sorry, okay, great.
Thank you.
I'm out. This is,
Yep. If you allow the relocation of 33,500 illiterate migrants into Gloucester, if 1% of them are rapists, you just released 340 rapists
Audience, please.
on the streets of Gloucester.
Thank you, Francisco. Tracy, do you have a follow-up?
Yes. We do have home rule. The city of Gloucester, the state cannot change our zoning laws. Only the city of Gloucester can change the city of Gloucester's zoning laws. What the state did at the state level was they changed the law at the state level so that in order for zoning amendments to pass, they only need a simple majority as opposed to a supermajority, which means in Gloucester, they only need 5 votes instead of 6 votes to pass. So that's what the state did to get what they want
Thank you,
from
Tracy.
us. Beware.
All right, question number 3. Frank, you're up first. This has to do with health mandates. What is your position on mandatory vaccines? Okay, we need our timer to silence his timer.
he's trying to stop his dingling.
I'm actually doing okay over here. If it's,
I know, right?
I've been trying to knock a little bit, so I think I'm going to take over. If you hear me knock, you are at a hard stop. You need to wrap it up quickly.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Great.
So let's see. So Francisco, I will repeat the question. This is question number 3, you're first up. What is your position on mandatory vaccines and masking? You have 90 seconds.
Our administration will focus on our primary objective, which will be to retake both of our community hospitals, Addison Gilbert and Cable Memorial Hospital, back by eminent domain. If we're successful in retaking both of those hospitals back by eminent domain, we'll bring back 2. Right now, there's none. 2 fully staffed North Shore community maternity wards. If we're successful in bringing back both of our community hospitals by eminent domain, we'll bring back 2. Right now, there's none. 2 fully staffed intensive care units. Vote for me. The life you save may be your own or somebody you love. And if we are successful in bringing back Addison Gilbert Hospital and Cable Memorial Hospital, we'll bring back 2. Right now, there's 2 fully staffed emergency rooms.
Thank you. Tracy?
I don't think I would ever tell anyone to inject something into their body. I just don't. That's just wrong. If you want a vaccine, get a vaccine. You don't want a vaccine, don't get a vaccine. I would never tell anyone. I hope I would never force anyone to inject anything. I can't imagine a situation that I would force someone to inject something into their body. As far as masks go, if you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. If you don't want to wear a mask, don't wear a mask. There are studies that prove masks don't work. There are studies that prove masks do work. These are things that you need to discuss with your doctor and your family, not the government. This is government overreach. Period.
Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you.
Mary Ellen?
So mandating masking and vaccines have had their time and place throughout history, and should it ever become within my authority of the mayor to mandate a vaccine or mask, then I would cross that bridge when I came to it. However, I can't imagine I will ever have that kind of authority on a local level. If it becomes law where we are required to follow it, whether or not it is enforced may be our local jurisdiction. But when it comes to this country, last time I checked, we are all free to do as we please. Your best bet is to educate yourself as to why we have vaccines and why you may be asked to wear a mask. Masks are of a variety of types, as I'm sure you've seen throughout COVID. Some are effective, some are not. If you need to protect yourself, it would be wise to know what kind of mask you should wear to protect yourself. Everything is based on education. I spent 40 years in health, and I can tell you that science is dependent upon who is doing the study and who is funding it. So from the beginning, you should always question the why as to what, when someone is asking you to do something. Nothing is a have to do. Sorry.
Thank you.
I'll always remember Mayor Wu out of Boston demanding the vaccine for all civil servants, and 38,000 civil servants lost their job. That was 38,000 families. I really don't see her getting reelected by a long shot, only because she ruined all them people's lives. It was 900 state troopers resigned. They all got their jobs back because they said that the vaccine order was lifted. But you know, what you do with your body, you know, if you want to shoot it up with something, it's really your decision.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Tracy, 30-second rebuttal if you choose.
No, I think I'm good. It's your decision, and to me, this would be government overreach in one of the very worst ways.
Thank you. Mary Ellen?
I just think, again, it's really important that you understand your Department of Health in this city is a critical part of the management of public health, and that you also pay attention to how your public health department is managed and run, who is in charge of what, and do they stand by you in times of crisis like we had during COVID. Half of our department left during that period and did not do their job, unfortunately. As I understand, we had to bring in outside help, and that is not how you want your public health department run. just keep that in mind.
Thank you. All right, we are on to question number 4. As a reminder, Tracy, you will be answering first. This is about Dogtown. Dogtown is 1,100 acres of undeveloped forested area, or forested land. This land was deeded to Gloucester by the Babson family in 1931. Much discussion is occurring on ways to continue the preservation of Dogtown. It has been proposed Gloucester sell the Dogtown carbon credits for a one-time fee. The land is not sold, just the carbon credits. Carbon credits are permits that allow the buyer to offset environmental damage elsewhere. If carbon credits are sold, Dogtown will be deed restricted. What is your position on this issue? You have 90 seconds, Tracy.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to know who proposed this. Consider the source, right? Rule number 1, consider the source. Where's this coming from? Who wants to do this? I don't know. I need to research that. Secondly, it just doesn't feel right to me. Third, I have read about the bundle of rights pertaining to land rights, and this carbon bundle is new to me. These carbon rights is new to me. So I don't know a lot about it. I have researched developable rights and exclusionary rights, possession rights, control rights, enjoyment rights. I have not researched carbon rights. So I would have to research it, but if I was mayor today and I was asked this question, I would say no. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. Mariella?
So first of all, trading Dogtown for carbon credits is the height of hypocrisy for an administration that claims to be worried about climate change. So that you know what carbon credit trading is we're basically giving our land, turning over one of our most valuable assets in this city to an organization who will then sell those carbon credits to a city who is polluting so much that they don't have enough assets of their own to continue to pollute. So they'll take our assets and use it to continue to pollute. It doesn't make any sense. It is a racket that was created to offset large companies who want to continue to pollute all over the world. And that is what's going on with carbon credits. In addition, I have all kinds of articles about that. What they're basically doing is saying, we won't log that land in exchange for carbon credits. We have no intention of logging Dogtown to begin with. And this is happening, by the way, all over the world. They're taking land that people wouldn't be logging anyway, and they're just adhering carbon credits to it, selling it off, giving that whole asset to a third party who could then manage it elsewhere. And that becomes their property, and they get to tell you what to do with that property once you've sold it to them or leased it to them or turned it over to them. It's really important that you understand that, because that goes for any organization that claims to maintain your green space. Once you've turned that ownership and that deed restriction over, it's no longer yours.
Thank you. Frank, you have 90 seconds.
As your new mayor, I'll seek the protection of having Gloucester, Cape Ann, declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site to preserve and permanently protect it long after all of us are gone. There's no place like Cape Ann. It meets all the requirements for a UNESCO World Heritage Site. As far as Dogtown, you have to remember there's a lot of people out there, possibly ideologists that want that land. People that own a lot of Gloucester's municipal debt. They're hoping that the city goes under, so that actually comes up for available at one of the assets that get raffled off. You know, and you have to remember that in all your infinite wisdom, the population of Gloucester has never exceeded 28,000 people in 400 years. That's because we have a very finite, limited amount of fresh drinking water. And once that drinking water goes out, it's our survival. So that's why I'm actually in this race, because I don't want the relocation of 33,500, whoever they are. You can say, label them, or whatever you want to call them. But as far as...
This is hard.
You can finish your sentence.
Oh, finish the sentence? Oh, I think Dogtown Common, a lot of people have their eye on it. and whether it's in our generation or not, and really just having Cape Ann declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site, that means it's permanently preserved, like Rockport.
All right, thank you. All right, so back to the beginning. Tracy, you have 30 seconds to add anything else or rebut.
No, I'm good in my answer. I'm strongly opposed to that. I think we need to keep Dogtown the way it is.
Okay, thank you. Mary Ellen?
I agree. I'm opposed to doing anything with Dogtown, and that includes also turning it into any kind of heritage site, because the minute you make a deal with the government or anyone else who is an organization that is going to name it as a conserved site or a World Heritage Site, then you have requirements under which you have to follow, whether that makes it handicap accessibility, it makes it historical preservation. There are all kinds of requirements that you will then have to fill. So be very careful, and I will absolutely not do any of those things, because I believe Dogtown is meant to be preserved by its deed the way it is for the enjoyment of the citizens. Thank you, Bud.
Frank, you have 30 seconds if you would like to add anything.
I'm good.
Did I miss that you're all set?
Yeah, he's all set.
Okay, fantastic. All right, so on to question number 5. This will begin with you, Mary Ellen. This is about our waterfront. For 400 years, Gloucester has benefited from a high standard of living from the revenue derived from its seafood industry and related businesses. Ideas to change the waterfront to include more dining, residential, and even a large theater are being proposed. What is your vision to promote the best future for our working waterfront? You have 90 seconds.
My vision is basically to use our waterfront to the best of its ability. We have limitations as to what we can use it for now. I think it's important that we understand them and allow the business owners that own waterfront to actually put some money into their property with the knowledge that whatever money they put in, they will get a good return on their investment. As it stands now, it is cost prohibitive for them to do anything with their waterfront because they are so limited in what they can do. Does that mean I want recreational boating from end to end of the city? Absolutely not. Does that mean I'm going to bring back the fishing industry the way it was when I grew up? As much as I wish, that's not going to happen. But I'll tell you one thing I have learned in talking to the fishermen and a number of businessmen and women across the city is that there are a lot of innovative ideas out there. And there are a lot of innovative ideas evidently coming from the state. However, those innovative ideas are just that. They're just ideas. And we need to match them up with business people and investors who can help take those ideas to fruition. We have the ability to do that, to make these private-public partnerships work and to actually utilize our waterfront. The city has to make its regulations more business friendly. Right now we drive more business out than we keep. We don't make it easy for permitting, for regulations, for any of it. Oh, and I'm done.
I want to make sure that you finish your statement. So when you see that, I will allow another few seconds to finish that thought, but please wrap it up in the next second or two. But
I just think it's critical that we be a business-friendly city if we want to attract businesses, high-cost, high-value businesses to this city. We need to make it business-friendly, and currently it is not.
Thank you.
That's it.
Frank, 90 seconds.
The best improvement we could ever do to the waterfront would be to move the state boat ramp to the state fish pier. Right now, when somebody launches a boat, they want to get in the outer harbor, the bridge has to go up. I'm sure you've spent most of your life in traffic waiting for that bridge to go down. Every time a boat gets launched at the state boat ramp, that bridge has to come up. And so what happens is if you had it at the state fish pier, maybe more than two piers, two docks going down the load, as soon as they launched the boat would be in the outer harbor. And then you wouldn't have to lift the bridge. And if that was a percentage of lifting that bridge, say half the time it didn't have to go up because the boats were launched in the outer harbor, I think that's the best thing we could do, is to petition the state to move the state boat ramp to the state fish pier. As far as overpopulating Gloucester, I never wanted to overpopulate Gloucester, not just because we have a limited amount of fresh drinking water, but also the roads are just so narrow. I mean, I went to the dentist the other day. It was 2 miles. I went through town. Took me 45 minutes. I never forget that. And so the next time I went through the highway, through the extension, and it took me 12 minutes.
Thank you.
Sounds like we have another timekeeper. Knocking on the,
That's me.
that's you? Oh. I've got the clock.
All right, so
Rebuttals.
Mary Ellen.
No, I'm next.
I was going to say, yeah, it's-
I didn't answer the question yet.
Yes, you didn't.
Excuse me?
Yes, I was agreeing with you. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, you did not, yes.
Thank you. So Gloucester Marine Railways is the oldest continuously working shipyard in America. My grandfather worked at the railways. And I do know that fishing will not come back the way it used to be, but we need more for-profit businesses on the waterfront. We should work with GMGI to get for-profit businesses on the waterfront. I would also petition the state, possibly with the city of New Bedford, to ease some of the restrictions on fishermen and lobstermen. We need more aquaculture and blue technology. We do need more businesses, and there's a way to do it, so thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. Mary Ellen,
No, here,
30 seconds.
Okay, so with regard to the property that we own on the waterfront as a city, it's important that we use that asset properly. If we give our asset away to a nonprofit that is non-revenue producing, we are basically, again, giving away our assets and not getting anything in return. As good as GMGI's intention, mission, and outlook is, it is not producing revenue for this city. That is a big waste of your tax dollars and your assets in the city. I firmly believe that the area, I call it R2D2 only because it's easier, should be something that will benefit this city and at the very least produce revenue for us so that we can reduce our tax bases. Thank you.
Thank you. My only concern is with the sound and when people are still talking and that's going off, it's going to interfere with people that may try and watch this in the future. I was trying to reduce the noise. I don't know if we can make that sound go away. Frank, you have 30 seconds to respond.
I didn't want to overpopulate Gloucester because overpopulating Gloucester comes with the anticipated substantial spike in violent crime. You don't want more people. I know people. It's just, if you want it, you just want them as little people as you want, sparsely populated. Actually, overpopulating Gloucester would ruin it. And once it gets ruined, you just can't get it back.
Thank you. Tracy, 30 seconds.
This is for businesses
waterfront.
on the waterfront?
Correct.
Okay, as I said before, we need to bring in for-profit businesses. I call it I4C3PO. So anything that goes in that location needs to be for-profit, needs to be water dependent. It's in the designated port area. It's zoned for marine industrial. It's for fishermen and for water dependent businesses, so thank you.
Thank you. All right, Frank, you're on question number 6 first. This is a general economic question. In the previous question, we addressed the seafood industry. How would you attract new manufacturing and other industries that provide full-time, year-round, living wage employment, which would advance the city's economic stability? You have 90 seconds.
I really think that they should learn to farm fish on land. You've seen people do it. I mean, I'm not really into salmon. Salmon's like a greasy fish. I'm not into it. And so, but I've seen them raise like bass and stuff like that in pens on land, and that's where the future is, because you know, it's just an unstable environment. You don't know what the future holds, and you know, if you really like fish, you want to have that available supply of it. So I really think if you could farm fish It makes the great, I mean, you could farm fish anywhere if you could farm fish. Somebody has to, refine farming fish and, that whole thing. Thanks.
Thank you. Tracy? You have 90 seconds.
What is the question?
I'd be happy to repeat the question for you.
Yes, please.
In the previous question, we addressed the seafood industry. How would you attract new manufacturing and other industries that provide year-round, full-time, living wage employment, which would advance the city's economic stability?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I have teams of professionals just waiting for my phone call to announce that Gloucester is open for business. We need to announce that Gloucester is open for business. These people will make phone calls, set meetings to entice businesses to come here. We need good paying industrial jobs. We need good paying jobs, whether it's aquaculture, blue technology, or manufacturing, and we need them yesterday. I, together with my team, will get companies here by doing the work necessary, the groundwork, the hard work to get the job done. And we will get jobs here, and we will get new companies here. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. Mary Ellen, you have 90 seconds.
So I think it's really important that the jobs that we attract are a good fit for the population that we have here. We have we had a primarily blue collar, white collar mix, varied socioeconomic levels across this city. There are people here willing to invest in bringing businesses, but we also need to invest in education, not just for the children, but for adults as well. If you can be trained to do a job, then a company is going to be a lot more attractive to come here if they know they have a population that they can employ here. What we do not want to attract is a company that's going to need an influx of an entirely new level of population that we're going to have to bring into our city and add to our already overburdened infrastructure.
No, you still have
Oh,
time.
he's waving his stop at me.
Well, this is a 90
This was 90 seconds, yeah.
Okay, so anyway, so it's really important. I mean, I've talked to plenty of people, as I've already said, that want to come here and that are encouraged about the investment potential for our city. But we need to match jobs with companies, and companies that are not only going to have jobs for today, but tomorrow. 10 years ago, we couldn't even predict the kind of jobs that are needed. None of us knew that we would be so electronically dependent 30 years ago. So it's hard to say what jobs are we going to have in this city 30 years from now, 20 years from now, or even 10 years from now. What I know today is that we need to employ the residents of this city and our children in viable businesses that can provide a living wage.
Thank you. All right, so Frank, you have 30 seconds to respond.
I actually don't want to overpopulate Gloucester, especially with the relocation of 33,500 illiterate migrants. We'll have to build another 3-4 schools. The taxes are high enough as it is. It's actually detrimental even thinking about bringing more people here. We have plenty of people. We actually have too many people.
Thank you, Frank. Tracy, you have 30 seconds to respond.
We can bring businesses here. We also need to combine businesses with our high school education programs so that when our children graduate high school, they have a choice. They can go to college if they want, or they can go into a job that they've been trained for. Possibly getting people from these businesses to come and volunteer at the high school to teach our children what they need to know in order to get the job that this company will bring.
Thank you, Tracy. Mary Ellen, you have 30 seconds.
I think it would be fantastic if the city initiated an incubator system where we allow young people who are trying to launch businesses to actually have the means and support of incubating that business in an environment of mentors who have functioning and successful businesses, not only in Gloucester but across the Commonwealth. We have that ability here. We're just not taking advantage of it. And I know that there are entrepreneurs out there who could really use the support, and it's the least that the city can do for them. Again, making the city business friendly will go a long way toward attracting investors, businesses, and entrepreneurs.
Thank you, Mary Ellen, sorry. Thank you, Mary Ellen. All right. Tracy, you're first on question number 7, which has to do with seniors. Given the aging population, which is the majority of Gloucester residents, what mechanisms would you put in place to economically benefit senior citizens to enable them to age in place? You have 90 seconds.
Okay, thank you. By lowering the budget 2%, it will lower taxes for us seniors and for everybody else. We will have meetings at the senior center to inform people about the circuit breaker tax credit, how to get it if they're eligible, and they will be taught how to apply for it. It would also entice or encourage ward councilors to go into their neighborhoods and find out who needs help, where they need help, and what kind of help they need. We'll encourage ward meetings. We'll encourage neighborhood ward meetings where ward councilors will have in-person meetings. Listen to what you have to say. Tell them about your senior parents. Have your parents go. Also, make sure that cater services have substantial help and substantial services. And also Meals on Wheels. Meals on Wheels, whether or not the seniors just eat the desserts, right? It's still someone checking on that senior every single day. So that's important. And those are my ideas to help seniors. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. Mary Ellen?
So we have a higher than average senior population in this city according to the National Census. And it's really important that we not just take care of our seniors, but we help them through their lives so that they can continue to age in place. There are tax credits out there. There are all kinds of programs to help. We had a program in the health department called Seniors on the Go Bus. When we tried to make that a full-time, long-standing, sustainable program within the city, it was rejected by the city because they didn't have the funds for it. It seems to me that our priorities are quite messed up, especially in a community where we are the senior citizens as a majority. And I consider myself part of that population. The older population is considered, according to federal government, a marginalized population. There are all kinds of grants out there that we can get to help us cover the cost of some of the services that we want to provide senior citizens. I do not want to go into my last quarter of my life sitting around and knitting. I want to be active and doing things. I want to know that there are transportation alternatives. I want to know that if I fall and I can't get up, that there is a way and a group around me of people who will help me get up. I want to be surrounded by my family, by my children and my grandchildren. I don't want to have to give up my home. I don't want to have to sell my home. I don't want to have to bring in strangers to live in my home so that I can continue to afford to pay for my utilities and taxes. There has got to be, I'm sure there are ways that we can help our senior population. I haven't had the inside scoop enough on local programs that are available, but I do know that the one program that I did have available got cut, and so that was,
Thank you, Mary Ellen.
that was a frustration. Okay.
Frank, 90
Yeah,
seconds, please.
If you do get to live long enough to be a senior citizen, the first thing you'll notice is that you have growing medical needs. That's why it's strategic retaking both of those community hospitals back before they close the last emergency room. I mean, right now there's no North Shore maternity wards, there's no intensive care units, there's one emergency room, and right now, being a senior citizen, your medical options are limited because you have to have access to all your doctors and specialists and all that, and to have that up in the air, and you know, especially if you remember Addison Gilbert Hospital that had a $58 million endowment fund when it was absorbed for free, and Cable Memorial Hospital that actually held down that whole side, Essex, Ipswich, the growing North Shore community. So when it comes to being a senior citizen, it's different than just being some kid running around and you got great health. I mean, you have to take your health seriously, and making sure that the hospitals are still there and they're protected is a big thing. It's a big thing. Yeah.
Thank you, Frank. Tracy, you have 30 seconds if you wish to respond.
No, I think I'm good.
Thanks.
I'm good.
Mary Ellen?
Frank, that's an excellent point. We need health care, we need it locally. We need to have access to that health care, not only for our young people, but for the rest of us who are going to need it. And not just access to health care, we're going to need places that if we need living in-house care, such as nursing homes and assisted care facilities, we need to make sure we have those available to us as an option within the community to take care of one another. I do not want to see nursing homes that were the type that my grandmother or my great-grandmother and my great-aunts were sent to, where they're miserable, closed, dark, smelly places. I want to be in a facility that I will love being in as much as I love being in my home. Sorry,
Thank
bud.
you. All right, final question. Question 8, and it is Mary Ellen, you are first. This is about city government. The city at present has 42 boards and commissions with approximately 255 mayoral appointed members. Commissions are advisory, others have regulatory power, whose decisions affect the citizens. These volunteers are not required to provide contact information. This impedes gathering public information via email correspondence through public records discovery. Public engagement at each board is at the discretion of the chair. For various reasons, it is difficult, if not impossible, for citizens to follow all of these meetings effectively. As mayor, you will have the final decision in reappointing or appointing new members. What steps would you take to ensure citizens' participation at all board and commission meetings? That's the first half. And second, what steps would you take to introduce accountability from the boards and commissions to the citizens of Gloucester?
Well, a board or a commission that's appointed by the city or appointed by the mayor is beholden to the open meeting law. So it doesn't, that should already be in existence. So the fact that it's in existence and we don't enforce it is another part of why this administration needs to be replaced. Additionally, I came from a city in Maryland, one of the cities that I lived in DC and outside of DC, and a population of 70,000 people. They have 20 boards and commissions. Why we have 42 is beyond me. It is unrealistic to expect anyone to appoint, 255 appointee volunteers in the course of a two-year mayoral run. I mean, there are so many things in this city that are just beyond reason and common sense that they don't even make sense to me to start to approach. So at the very least, you should have transparency and accountability in your commissions and boards. More importantly, there should be a definitive conflict of interest law and actually imposing that conflict of interest, so that if you are on a board and you are going to gain from your position on that board, then you should not be voting.
Very good.
Thank you, Tracy. Mary Ellen, I'm sorry. That timing was perfect.
Oh, go me.
There you go. Frank, you have 90 seconds.
I think I've met some of the most interesting characters on Cape Ann. Some of them are so dedicated to their city that it's not really about them or it's about me or anybody else. They're actually what's best for Gloucester. Overpopulation is not best for Gloucester. It's only going to come with a whole new list of problems. So when you say stuff like the people that are appointed to these boards, people that want to be appointed to these boards, they're dedicated. They've devoted their life to this city, and that's why they're applying. You really have to weed them out. Who's going to be, working for themselves, or if they're working for the best benefit of the city, and that's what it comes down to. You don't want to overpopulate it. You don't want to run out of fresh drinking water. So I mean, it's a certain type of person that has to be promoted to these boards that are seeking the same protection and sanctuary of of having Gloucester permanently preserved. You'll never find a place like Gloucester nowhere on the earth. And actually, I think Rockport's part of it. So it's really, I look forward to trying to make Cape Ann a UNESCO World Heritage Site, just because of the protections that that designation affords the city.
Thank you. Tracy, you have 90 seconds.
Thank you. Number one, board and commission members need to provide contact information. Period, the end. There is no reason why they can't provide an email address. You don't have to give your street address. If you don't want to give your phone number, that's another thing. There should at least be an email address. There's no reason why there isn't. Two, all board and commission meetings need to be on Zoom. If you're not on Zoom, you shouldn't meet. Minutes of meetings, some of them are years old. They are not up to date. You can't find them.
Tracy has another minute.
Thank you.
She's good.
Excuse me. Minutes of the meetings are not up to date. If they were on Zoom, they would be all set. They'd be online the very next day. If you're not willing to be on Zoom, then that's a big problem in my mind. Number three, some of these boards and commissions need to be consolidated. It is impossible for one person to attend all these meetings. 42 boards and commissions, that's 6 meetings a day, every single day. Sundays, holidays, weekends, who can do that? No one can do that. And then you try to watch them online, it's impossible. I will follow up with what Mary Ellen said. If you're on a board of commission and you benefit from being on that board of commission, you shouldn't vote. I don't think you should be on the board at all. So
Thank you,
that's my
Tracy. I
thing.
did give you a few extra minutes because we interrupted you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Ellen, you have
So
30
I
seconds.
do want to emphasize that volunteers are very important. They're the lifeblood of our community. I have spent my entire life volunteering. I come from a family of volunteers. We do a lot of good in this community, as do most volunteers. When you volunteer, you do it for a reason, whether that reason is to further your business, to just give back to the community, or just because you love being around people. It's good to volunteer. The question becomes when that volunteer has a conflict of interest in what is being passed for the good of the city as a whole. And that's the difference that I want to make clear. It is not for lack of wanting volunteers. It is fantastic that people step up and help. We need you to step up and help. Okay,
Great.
that's it.
You have 30 seconds.
Are we back on the board thing again?
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to actually thank anybody who has the time and the dedication to join a board. There's so many of them, 42. Like you said, you couldn't keep track of them. And really, when you look at the dedication that these volunteers do, I mean, they're not getting paid, and they spend countless hours at night trying to solve the problems. As I said, overpopulating Gloucester is not what you want.
Thank you. Tracy, you have 30 seconds, if you please.
I will just reiterate that boards and commissions can be and should be consolidated, and they absolutely should be on Zoom. There's no reason that they're not on Zoom. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, well, that wraps up the first half of our forum. We are going to take a 10-minute break and meet back at 7:17 for questions from the audience. Thank you. All right, we're going to get started. The candidates are in their places. This is an open mic for the audience to ask questions. Each member of the audience will have 1 minute at the microphone. Please state your name. I am going to keep people to 1 minute. For each timed question, it's going to take about 5 minutes. So the longer we think about your questions in your head and try to keep them succinct. So we will stay later if it's okay with the candidates and we have other questions, but we're hoping to get to everyone tonight. Okay. So, same order, and I don't have the list, so let's see. Mary Ellen started first, so that brings us. No, next. I'm sorry. You started first last, so then the next one would be Tracy. We're just going to keep going with the same order. I'm sorry. You answered the last question first.
Okay, so it's
So-
your turn.
So why does it? Yes, that makes sense. That's it. I got it. I'll figure it out from here. Or keep me honest. I'm okay with that. That's fine. 1 minute. Who has the first question? Lady in the sparkles. We have someone that's going to bring the microphone to you, but please state your name.
Judith Ross Chandler. This is to all three candidates, and I'm so sorry the mayor is not here. I'm a senior citizen, retired here for 5 years. I grew up here. I got paperwork at City Hall to start this petition, and I haven't got to it this year, but I pray to next year. Here's my question to all of you. Why can't we freeze taxes for senior citizens in Gloucester, Mass, once they reach the age of 72, whatever that tax rate is they've been paying, for the rest of their life, for all 4 quarters, you know exactly what you're going to be required to pay. Why can't that be done? All over the country, they're doing the same kind of incentives, homesteading and such.
Thank you very much. So we are going to start with Frank. And you have 1 minute to respond.
As I said, it would be on the negotiating table, a senior citizen property tax discount. But if you're going to allow people to just overpopulate Gloucester with, say, 33,500 illiterate migrants, well, you're going to have to build another 3-4 schools. Taxes would have to go up if you're thinking of letting that influx of additional overburdened population. As I've mentioned several times tonight, I don't want to overpopulate Gloucester.
Thank you, Frank. Tracy?
Can I ask your name again?
Judy Ross Chandler.
Nice to meet you.
Talk, Tracy.
Yes, thank you so much. I don't see why that can't be investigated. It seems like a reasonable request, and seniors have paid into taxes their whole lives, and we need to cherish our senior citizens. I count myself as one, for sure.
I'm not asking for taxes to go away.
No, I understand that.
No.
Put a freeze on it. Yeah, I don't see any reason. That should be investigated. And when a mayor, please call me, and we'll set up a meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. Mary Ellen, you have 1 minute.
So Judy, the input of concerned citizens and brilliant women and men in this city is exactly why your question is such a good one. And it opens the door for things that I would not have thought about, which I love. And so, you know, what are our limitations and our authorities to implement such a plan? I think it's a terrific plan, especially considering my age. The only problem I would see with that is you would have to set up some sort of standard so that if we all of a sudden had an influx of people coming in because they know that their taxes will not get raised at that age. So all of a sudden, it's sort of like, no, I'm not going to do an analogy, but you have to set limits all around it, because a great idea has a lot of complexity, but I think it's an idea worth implementing. Absolutely. It makes perfect sense. And if it's done in other places in the country, I don't know why we wouldn't be able to. But we'd have to see what our authority is to do so.
Thank you. All right, back to Frank. If you have 20 seconds to respond, it's yours.
I said everything I was going to say.
All righty. Thank you. Tracy?
I think it's a great idea, and it should definitely be investigated.
Thank you. Back to you so quickly, Mary Ellen.
I think it's unfortunate that your proposal hasn't been addressed yet, and it's evidence again of an inefficient system and a system that's not listening to the people who mean the most to this city and could have the greatest impact on moving forward in healthy, efficient, and effective ways for the population that we serve. I mean, it's our job to serve you. I don't know why you're not being served, so I hope to look forward to doing that.
Thank you. Okay, second question. I think there's a gentleman in the back of the room. He was up next. Please, 1 minute for your question. And please state your name.
John Montgomery. Question that I have is, when they have these empty storefronts downtown, the buildings are empty, when the insurance underwriter comes in, how does that affect the city's taxes, not taxes, but the insurance rate? Does it have a big effect on the rate? Will you pay more for empty buildings? Because it is an empty building.
Thank you. So this one is starting with Tracy.
I would imagine that it would affect our tax rate, our insurance rate as well. So I don't know what those figures are. I haven't been asked that question before. So I would imagine that that should be investigated as well. But it probably does affect it. So thank you.
I'm pretty certain that an empty building will increase your liability because there's nobody there to take care of business and watch should a fire or somebody be in there and get injured and all the other things that we have insurance for. One of the things that the city does not have at the moment is someone who is overseeing the empty buildings across the city, not just business, but also homes. When you have empty homes all over the city, it devalues the property around that. We have eliminated our director of the building department without replacing some pretty key positions, one of them being the person who oversees our empty buildings. You know, we get rid of employees really quickly around here, or they leave because they get tired of working in a system where they don't have any control, or they're basically keeping your head down so you can keep your job kind of mentality. But there are critical jobs in this city that are sitting empty still, and the person who oversees empty buildings, commercial and residential, is sitting empty right now. That's why you'll see a lot of unmown lawns and houses that are dilapidated.
Thank you.
If you have a mortgage, the mortgage person requires insurance. So all those buildings are all insured, unless of course somebody owns them outright, and then that wouldn't affect you or wouldn't even affect me. What you have to worry about storefronts empty on Main Street is where it's going to go in the future. I really think we need a public bathroom on Main Street in case you gotta go, you know, you gotta go. And so wherever the sewer line runs, you can just put a little offshoot, you could put a public bathroom anywhere. And so really it's, when you say an open, empty storefront, it's probably for rent, but people probably can't afford to pay the rent. So they'll wait till somebody shows up to pay that astronomical amount of rent.
All right, thanks. So you each have 20 seconds to respond to each other's comments if you wish.
I'm good. I think it was a very good question, and there are a lot of empty buildings in the city. I have witnessed that myself personally. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Frank, empty buildings do indeed affect the value of both commercial and residential properties. If you have an empty building in our commercial district, it makes the city look like we're not thriving. It makes it look like nobody wants to be here. It affects the way business is done. It affects the way people want to come down here and shop. You do not want empty commercial buildings. The same with residential. If you have an unoccupied house that is not being taken care of, it attracts vagrants and it attracts animals and other things that will destroy the value of the surrounding homes. Sorry, I am not good at this, brief-wise.
I'm good.
Frank's good. All right. I did see some hands, so let's get some people in order so we don't make our mic person run around. So let's start at the top, then you'll be third, and then we'll, yep, we're going this way. Top row. Two next to each other, and then you'll be third.
There's 3 up there.
Hi, my name is Catherine Gooddick. I live on Dogtown Road. So my question has a follow-up to the Dogtown question. I built my house there 28 years ago. At the time, the compost pile was not there. It was then sent there temporarily 28 years ago. I cannot get out of my house on a Saturday or Sunday. And adding to that, I want to know what you're going to do to get rid of that out of there. Number one, I paid to pave that road because it was so deplorable. And now the city won't come up and repair it. Last and not least, I told Tracy this the other day. The city, many of you don't know this, but the city detonates bombs up in Dogtown. My property is very close to it, so I have a personal stake, but I don't really think that dredging up bombs out in the ocean from by fishermen should come all the way up through the city streets to be detonated up in Dogtown. How is that conservation is beyond me.
Thank you. So this question is going to start with Mary Ellen.
So when I went up to Dogtown, I have to admit that was not a place I went. I was not a part of here as a high school student here, but I was horrified at the compost piles in Dogtown. You talk about not taking care of a gem of an asset in this city. We have ruined the entire front section of that Dogtown area, throwing yard waste, which is compostable. There are businesses that do this, and it should not be on a publicly owned land. So I would get rid of it, every bit of it. Sorry, that is my intent for that. And as far as detonating bombs, I do not know what people are thinking about. Why would be carrying active or non-active bombs through the streets of this city is incredibly irresponsible, and I'm shocked that this is something that we do, let alone actually detonating them in a residential area. Is anyone in charge here? Seriously, these are the federal government. I can assure you will come in here and take charge of some of these things if we don't get a handle on it. This is super dangerous stuff.
Thank you, Mary Ellen. Frank?
Dogtown Common is a municipal asset. As far as the composting area, if anybody needed that black dirt, they have plenty of that black dirt there. A lot of people put it in their gardens. They do whatever they want to do with compost. But that's a municipal asset, and that's what they do over there. They do compost, and it's a place you can throw away your brush. That's where the brush goes. And, to say, well, we've got to stop this, stop composting, stop throwing away. I mean, as I said, there's a lot of people who have their eye on Dogtown. These people want to develop it. Everybody wants to build skyscrapers. As I said, the fresh water drinking supply won't take it. But I really think that Dogtown Common serves its purpose. As I said, it has to be permanently preserved. I don't think deed restrictions. We're talking about future generations once we're gone.
Thank you, Frank. So each of you have 20 seconds to respond to each other's comments, if you choose.
I have an answer.
I keep doing this to you, Tracy. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
It's my circle here.
All right. Thank you,
1 minute
Catherine.
for you, sorry.
Thank you, Catherine. I was appalled to hear bombs going off in Dogtown Common. I can't even imagine what that's like. Your house shake? Yeah. So that has to stop, right? That has to stop. As far as the compost pile, that's a good one because maybe we can limit.
She's fine.
Maybe we can limit the days that people can go up there. I don't know what else we would do as far as composting goes. We'd have to hire a company like Black Earth Compost to come, like we hire recyclables, a recycling company. So that might be a way to handle that situation. I don't know how to get rid of it, just, truck it out, but that doesn't make sense, but sell it to the compost company. Maybe that's an idea, to get Black Earth Compost or some other company to take that over.
Thank you, Tracy.
Now that would increase taxes, so keep that in mind.
All right. Tracy, my apologies that I keep missing you.
It's
at the
okay.
end. I'm really
No
sorry.
worries.
All right, now you each have 20 seconds if you choose to respond, beginning with Mary Ellen.
Well, I know just saying get rid of it is probably a sweeping generalization that I shouldn't have said, so I take that back. But there's got to be a better place to put the compost than in a designated preservation area that is open for a park for the public. In Maryland, again, I hate to keep using examples, but when you've lived in other places, you see how these things are handled. It is managed at the town dump. I guess we don't have a town dump anymore, but there must be places, whether there's a piece of land, a DPW, or whatever, but I can tell you that nobody's going to buy that compost because nobody's overseen whether or not it has hazardous waste in it or chemicals.
20 seconds is a really quick time.
It does. Sorry, I can't even say hello in 20
Frank,
seconds.
20 seconds are yours.
As I said many times, I don't want Gloucester overpopulated, and to I enjoy walking in the woods, but I really think we need an emergency order exterminating all coyotes, because the coyotes live right there. So, I mean, I don't enjoy going in the woods anymore because I don't want to get bit.
Thank you, Frank. Tracy.
Thank you.
20 seconds.
Thank you. Mary Ellen brought up a good point of no one buying that compost or taking that compost, because no one is overseeing that. There is a man there when you drop it off, but there's I don't know if he's actually investigating or testing what you dump. So that is a concern as well.
Thank you. Frank, the next question will begin with you. And I believe we have another question in the back
Yep.
row.
Good evening, my name's Karen Scola, and I have a question about the MBTA TOD. What is your understanding of the number of units that the city has to build? Because it is my understanding that we may already be in compliance with the density guidelines.
Notice the depths of deception the state engages in. They say that area is going to be 50 acres radius. Well, a 50 acres radius is a 100 acre circumference circle. And once you count it up, it's over 1,000 acres. Just destroyed. The state can do whatever they want as soon as the zoning laws are altered to meet their needs to relocate whoever they're going to relocate. People don't want me to say who's being relocated. But that was what, 20 seconds, right?
It was, you have 1 minute right now.
1 minute. All right, so as I said, I don't want to overpopulate Gloucester. It changes the whole character of the area. And once you let people in, there would just be waves and waves. I've seen pictures in the Mediterranean on Greek islands where there's like 500,000 people clinging to the side of a mountain because that's the place to be. It has the beach, it has the weather. You know, I don't know how they allocate fresh drinking water in a situation like that.
Thank you very much. Okay, I am going to pause for a minute. There is becoming a little bit increased chatter in the audience, and it is becoming difficult to hear the candidates. So I'm asking to give the candidates your full attention. So Tracy, you have 1 minute to respond to the MBTA question.
Thank you, Ms. Scola. The MBTA, together with the Department of Housing and Community Development and the Department of Transportation, promulgated guidelines, and they came up with a number for Gloucester of a minimum of 2,270 multifamily units that Gloucester must provide for, starting within a half mile of the train stations, right? We have 2, just so you know. I don't know how many multifamily units we have at this time, but as mayor, I will, okay? That's a minimum of 2,270 multifamily units. A multifamily is 3 units or more, not single family, not duplexes. Has to be 3 family or more. It could be 300, it could be 3,000, which is kind of ridiculous, but there's no limit. So that's the number, 2,270 that we must, according to Chapter 40A, Section 3A, we must provide for
Thank you.
I live within a half mile of the train station. I don't think we have 2,270. There's no way.
All right, I don't want to
Excuse me?
start a precedent of going back and forth. I would like to
we
give
don't.
Mary Ellen the opportunity for her 1 minute.
So this number, 2,270, has been batted about by different organizations around this city to the point where I am totally not sure of what the mandate is. I do know that the way we have our housing designated right now, we actually have quite a bit of affordable housing and other types of housing that, however, are not counted by the state as the type of housing that they are mandating with this rule. So one of our problems is, first of all, getting an inventory of the kinds of housing that we have, see which properties are deed restricted and that fall within the parameters of what they're asking for, and then look at the numbers realistically. I'd also like to know exactly where they expect us to put those multifamily houses and if Gloucester residents will be the first people that are put in them rather than just filling them with bodies.
Thank you. Frank, you have 1 minute.
Now, you count 275 buildable units, 2 railroad stations, that's 550 buildable units. If you do the math for the maximum potential output, figure 6 people, a mama bear, a papa bear, 4 little baby bears, that comes to 33,500. The first thing we lose is our water pressure, because we're only 28,000, 30,000, it goes up in the summertime. I mean,
Frank,
it's,
actually, you have 20 seconds. It wasn't 1 minute, so you're there.
all right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Tracy, 20 seconds.
Once you take money from the state advertises on their website and wherever they want that there's multifamily units available in Gloucester. So these will not be filled with Gloucester people. There's no guarantee once you take money from the state. Once you agree to this MBTA, DOT, DHCD guideline,
Thank you, Tracy.
we lose control over our city.
The bottom line of all of this is having the nerve and the strength and the spine to stand up to the state and say, what are you imposing on us? And how does that fit in with what we have now as far as affordable housing? We don't have the numbers. Nobody has the exact numbers that we are to be dealing with. I have seen tons of conversations online by lots of opinionated people who have very strong opinions and fact-based information to provide us. But our mayor has yet to have an opinion or at least a fact-based presentation on this. So
Thank you.
until he speaks.
Thank you, thank you. All right,
We have a
that was the
question
second
up here.
question.
She's had her hand up a long time.
No, the next question was gonna be down to me. In the black, I've already told this woman. That's fine, but I told this woman right here that she would be third. I think after this woman.
Oh, I don't need the mic. My name's Adrian Laurie Names. 53 years ago, I played softball in the youth girls softball program on the first team that was available. We had more fields then for the girls' youth softball than we do now. The new playground that Mayor Berger talks about at Beaman School took away 20 feet of the left field of the girls' softball field. We don't have enough girls' softball fields.
Oh, sorry. You know what? For this to be televised, they need the mic because can't record you.
Oh, okay.
So sorry. No, you're doing a
I
great
mean, I
job
get big
projecting,
enough.
but no, in order to capture your question on television, I'm sorry.
Yelling at my kids. I don't know why y'all laughing.
Yes, we're gonna start over.
Hi, my name is Adrian Laurie Names. I played softball for the first time 53 years ago in the youth softball field program. We had more fields 53 years ago than we do now, and I was one of those volunteers that volunteered for years coaching different leagues, different fields, different Cub Scouts, everything. What are we going to do about the fields for these girls? Beaman School playground is all well and good when they put a new one in, but they put it 20 feet onto the left field of the girls' softball field. They have taken away the girls' softball field to build a new Mayoral field. We are slowly losing all the fields for the youth. They're putting a new fence around Burnham's Field, which I don't understand because it didn't need it. Why don't they fence in the softball fields that are down Burnham's Field so these girls can play? We travel all over the 3 states, and you have to see the other fields these cities have. They have 2 and 3 softball fields in the same complex.
About 1 minute is up.
What do you plan on doing with East Gloucester School? It should be turned into a girls' youth softball complex.
All right, my notes say, Tracy, you're next. 1 minute.
You're absolutely right. We've lost all our ball fields. They're gone.
They're gone. It's a disgrace.
It's a disgrace. It's a heartbreak. It's terrible. I don't know what's going to happen to East Gloucester School. I know it's supposed to be demolished and made open space.
Softball field's open space.
Softball fields and open space. I'm all for it. You know, put a playground there as well. I think is there room, Marianne? Is there room for a playground and a softball field?
Well, we have the Lieutenant Arthur Maxwell Parsons Playground that was donated by the family of.
Is there room?
Arthur Maxwell. There is a dedicated, deed-restricted
Okay.
playground.
All right.
That if that school comes down, the gymnasium, which the school sits on, goes back to the Lieutenant Arthur
Okay.
Maxwell Parsons
All right.
Playground.
So
I don't know.
okay.
If there's enough room.
Okay.
There's always been a field.
All right, we cannot
Right.
go back and forth.
All
And
right.
Tracy, that was your 1 minute. Mary Ellen, 1 minute.
So the first thing I'm going to do is hire a director of Parks and Recreation so that we can actually have some oversight over our fields. I don't know, when I finished my master's program, I came up here to Gloucester to be the director of this Parks and Recreation program. Paul Andrew was amazing. I loved working for him as a youth. He did a fantastic job. I don't know why we got rid of that department, but it is critical to the health and safety and future of our children and our adults who enjoy recreational activities like softball. I do not know what we are thinking as we eliminate ball fields, but as Adrian said, you can go anywhere in this country and find great recreational facilities. For some reason, Gloucester is getting rid of them faster than they are replacing them and have no place to put new ones.
Thank you.
Figure it out.
Frank, you have 1 minute.
The reason why they fenced off Burnham's Field is because they know that if there's a massive influx of population, the homeless population will come off the train and they'll make a mass and cast right in Burnham's Field. They've made it so they can put gates on that field so they can try to get rid of the homeless when they show up. But you have to remember, if you're going to overpopulate Gloucester, you're going to have to deal with all the problems that come with overpopulation, which is the homeless just taking over the parks, putting up tents, and then it's a whole new situation and list of problems.
Thank you. Tracy, do you have any final remarks on?
No, well, it's a shame that we have lost so many ball fields. I did fight against the new school taking up the whole field, the whole piece of property, but lost that fight. That's it. It's a crying shame.
Thank you. Mary Ellen, 20
Yeah.
seconds.
Fencing off our parks and facilities and fields around the city is another way of excluding you from the recreational activities that you are paying for. So putting up a fence and a gate, just like we have around Newell Stadium, prevents you from being able to actually use it when you want to use it. So that is just another example of you being denied your services that you are paying for with your taxes. It shouldn't be allowed, and it won't be under my administration.
Thank you, Mary Ellen. Frank, you have 20 seconds.
I'm good.
Okay. He's good. All right, so.
Yay!
My name is Karen Woodrow. I live in East Gloucester, and I'm a definite bureaucrat by career. So I've heard a lot of talk about budget. And I know a lot about budget, and I want to know, how familiar are you? Have you been to Budget and Finance Committee, subcommittee meetings? Are you, when you talk about, we should buy this and we should buy that? Talk is easy. Come up with the money. How familiar are each of you with the budget process? Have you gone to Budget and Finance meetings?
Thank you. So this question will be answered first by Mary Ellen. You have 1 minute.
So no, I haven't gone to every single budget and finance meetings. They run from 9 to 5, which I think is unrealistic for anyone to participate in who actually has a job and a life to deal with. I have gone, however, to some of them, and one of the ones that I attended, the city clerk said in her line items that she did not want to have voting by mail because it was cost prohibitive and did not make sense for this city, and it was like $10,000 expense that she tried to have removed, and the city instead said, no, we will have that, even though you don't think it's a good line item. To me, that is an overstep of a person who knows what she's doing and expecting to minimize her costs and trying to reduce her budget and expenses, and the city saying, no, sorry, we're not going to listen to you. So no, I know I need to be educated. I'm very clear about that.
Thank you. Frank, you have 1 minute.
The city of Gloucester's financial situation comes down to its major municipal debt.
Yeah,
I
that's true,
sometimes wonder how big that debt is, 500 million, 600 million. The city council is very generous with the municipal credit card, and that's what you have to deal with, is trying to whittle down that debt, because that's why our taxes just keep astronomically, exponentially increasing, because the city has to be able to pay these huge debts. And so if you say go to the finances, going to the finances is just the tip of the iceberg. So as I said, focusing on how we're going to pay the municipal debt. What can be a way of paying that municipal debt?
Thank you, Frank. Tracy, 1 minute.
Excuse me. Thank you, Karen. I have gone to some of the Budget and Finance Committee meetings. They are during the day, and I work during the day, so oftentimes I'll watch them online on the recording, which is why I believe all meetings should be on Zoom, because it just keeps me up to speed on what's going on. Yes, so I do. I don't always participate live, but I do watch the meetings. Is that the question?
Thank you. So you each have 20 seconds if you choose to respond to each other's comments, starting with Mary Ellen.
I think it's important to understand the budget process at the level that you are participating in it, but I think it's more important to understand the process and whether or not it's working for the city. By having a goal-based budget system where your money is already directed according to the goals that you want to receive, it's a lot more effective than what we do now, which is basically, here's your money, spend it, and if you get to the end of the year, make sure you just start buying things so that you'll have that much money for...
Thank
she's
you.
closing her eyes. Okay. I am talking too fast.
Frank?
I'm going to pass.
Tracy?
Yes, the budget is quite important, obviously. We need to tighten our purse strings at the subcommittee level. Too many things are getting approved at the subcommittee level, and then they go to city council, and city councilors get outvoted. So we need to have better budget and finance purse strings. We need to keep our money tight.
Thank you. All right. Where are we at?
Good evening. My name is Jeff Worthley. I'm on the City Council at 4 Hawthorne Road. Glad to see such a great turnout tonight. Thank you, Tracy, Mary Ellen, and Frank for participating. The City Charter, Section 2-4, prohibits city councilors from actively participating in the administration of the city government. And there's a certain interpretation of that from the current administration. I'd like you to help explain to the attendees what that interpretation is, and what would your interpretation be of that? Thank you.
Thank you. So, Frank, you're up first.
The leadership of this city depends on the mayor. It starts with the mayor and it ends with the mayor. The city council, it goes through the process of approving certain whatever's coming up. But, I mean, if you're going to, as I said, overpopulate Gloucester, it's totally different city then. I'm talking about they're going to just start urban renewal. I don't know if you've ever been to Brookline. Get out of the car and walk around. You'll see blocks and blocks of skyscraper apartment buildings. That's what they want to bring here. So, I mean, when you say, gee, should the city council take the weight of trying to stop overpopulation. I don't think any city councilor could.
Thank you. Tracy, you have 1 minute.
So can you repeat the question?
Sure. Without the microphone or with the
With the microphone. Hold on 1 second, please.
Thank you again. Section 2-4 of the city charter prohibits city councilors from directly taking part in the conduct of the administration of the city. How do you interpret, what is your understanding of the current mayor's interpretation of that, and what would your interpretation be?
My interpretation is that the city charter prohibits city councilors from participating in running the city. And it ties our hands in that we can't connect with department heads and various employees of the city. And it's frustrating. It's very frustrating, and it's demeaning, actually, to not be able to reach out to a department head, a building inspector, a fire inspector, whatnot, to ask them what's going on. Because if you do, you get reprimanded by the city solicitor. And it's very prohibitive for city councilors. It ties our hands that we cannot do a good job. We can't help people if we can't ask questions.
Thank you, Tracy.
I can tell you the mayor's current interpretation of that law. It is directors of departments are not allowed to directly contact the members of the city council, and the city council is not allowed to directly contact any of the directors of departments. I experienced that. I cannot tell you how maddening it is as a department head to not have to go direct, not have the opportunity to go directly to a person where an issue may just only affect that city councilor. It creates incredible bottlenecks. Everything has to flow through the mayor's office as though they are the final word and the final filter for everything that gets said by a department head, and then back from the city council to the department heads. I don't know how this was ever allowed. Again, it was a maddening experience, and it absolutely should. It is basically weaponized against the city council and weaponized against the department heads, so that communication is limited and funneled through the mayor's office.
Thank you. So, same as before, you each have 20 seconds to respond, beginning with Frank.
Is it still about the city council thing? Yeah. All right. So, as I said, you really have to worry about overpopulation. And it's the mayor of Gloucester who has to come out and say that we don't want to be overpopulated. As soon as you allow the first wave of overpopulation, this city will be destroyed. It's been preserved perfectly for 400 years, and now you want to just destroy it in the name of urban renewal. I mean, obviously the city councils, there's a reason why they don't have that power. That's why the mayor of Gloucester is such a...
So yes, it's maddening that we cannot communicate with the people who can do things for us. We can't talk to department heads. We can't get anything done unless the mayor is involved. I went to the mayor's office twice last week, well, within the past 2 weeks, and he wasn't there. So how am I going to get things done?
Thank you, Tracy. Mary Ellen?
I just have one question that I want you to ponder with regard to this question that was asked. What is the reason that the mayor's office would want to enforce this type of a rule? Just think about that.
All right. So, do we have any more? Oh.
I got a quick question. What is the penalty for disregarding those rules?
You're no longer employed.
What's that?
All right, so that's the official question. We're going to come back to my list, which Tracy will respond first to. And Tracy, you have 1 minute. What is the
What is,
We need the mic for the TV,
Oh.
thanks.
What is the penalty or the result if you disregard the guidance of the mayor?
for a city councilor, you get reprimanded. So that's it, that you just get demeaned, put in your place, shame on you, you have no rights. For employees, you get canned.
Okay. So the employees are the ones who will suffer?
Correct.
Okay.
All right, Mary Ellen, would you like to add 1 minute of time?
Well, they don't just can you immediately. First, they try to intimidate you. Then they ask you to resign so that you will leave and keep your mouth shut. Unfortunately, that doesn't always work.
All right, Frank, you have 1 minute.
The mayor of Gloucester is one of the most powerful offices you could ever have, especially when it comes down to being overpopulated. If you select and elect the wrong mayor, this city will be overrun by either the homeless or migrants or whoever that you think they're going to be. So when you say, geez, should a city councilor be able to stop that? No, it's the mayor. It's an important job, and that's why I'm in this election, because Gloucester's future is going to be determined. Your level of happiness will be determined by how you vote on election day.
Thank you, Frank. All right. Would anyone like to use their 20 seconds to follow up? Beginning with Tracy.
Didn't we already do that?
No, I don't think so. I'm good.
Okay. Mary Ellen?
We are losing quality, successful, intelligent, capable people from this city constantly under a regime that is not here to help this city and the residents it serves. It's time to speak up against that.
Thank you. Frank, you have 20 seconds if you choose.
My first executive order would bring back the currently outlawed annual Lanes Cove barn fire.
All right, so at this point, I would like to see a show of hands of people that still have questions. So there's still quite a few. So I would like to poll the candidates and the sponsors to see how much time we should still continue. I'm not sure what 1623's time constraints are. Candidates, would you like to stay another 15 minutes?
Sure.
Yes?
Stay
No?
as long as we
Tired?
need. Yep, stay as long as we need.
Stay as long as we need?
Sure. I will. He doesn't.
Okay, 1623 has 40 minutes.
All right, we have a question over here.
Okay, great.
Hi, my name is Meg Jarrett. No one has touched on the subject of education yet tonight, which is interesting. Besides the new school, let's just put that to the side. I graduated from this high school. I hardly recognize it walking in here tonight. What is the way that we could get the community, besides the Gloucester Education Fund, which also seems to be a narrow vision and focus in the city, what could you do to get other residents involved to help get our numbers of graduates up or job placements from, or involved not just going to trade schools out of the city? Can we create new things here that would, we've discussed tonight about keeping our kids living, working in the city, or educating themselves outside and coming back?
Thank you. Mary Ellen, you are first, and you have 1 minute.
Education is really important to me. As I stated, I've taught every grade from kindergarten through graduate school. We have a system in this city that is rewarding our executive leadership without having the results that we all expect. I don't recognize this high school either. It's very disturbing to see what has come of our schools, that we don't have the student levels that we're all choicing out, evidently. There are lots of cooperative programs that we can create. I don't know what the limits are with the mayor, but I do know that we have a vote on the school committee. What I think I would expect a lot more from the head of this pile of administration that is tasked with making sure our schools are effective, that we are churning out children that are not only educated but capable of supporting themselves in any academic environment that they will come across, whether it's knowing how to balance a checkbook or understanding a mortgage or interest rates or any of those living things that they need to know. If our kids aren't graduating from our schools with those skills, then it's our superintendent's job to make sure they do.
Thank you. Frank, you have 1 minute.
If you allow the overpopulation of Gloucester, you're going to be forced to build another 3-4 schools. A lot of these people, maybe including myself, I don't think we could, stand our taxes going up again and again. You see a lot of people, they put their house up for sale, it's because they've done the math and it doesn't work for them. So, when you're saying the schools, you have to consider, will we be overpopulated? Because if you add 33,500 people, you're going to build 3 or 4 more schools. A lot of people are going to have to move out of here because we just can't keep building new social facilities for people that move here.
Thank you. Tracy, you have 1 minute.
Thank you. We need to encourage entrepreneurs to come into our schools and educate our kids so that they have skills when they leave high school. Not everyone's going to go to college. Some people will, some people won't. I know some young men who have graduated and are very successful in this city, and they did not go to college. They have very successful businesses. So we need to encourage entrepreneurs to come in and help teach our children how to make a living wage on their own or through, entrepreneurial skills. How we do that is to reach out to the businesses and business owners, small business owners, and get them to come in and help our kids. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think currently we have the pay structure upside down in this city. At the top of the pay structure should be the teachers who are dealing with the students every day. We are losing good teachers to other cities because they do not make enough money to have the incentive to stay in a program that is failing the students. Teachers love to teach, and students love to learn in an environment where both are rewarded for doing so. The paras are invaluable to this city. It would take $75,000 to bring the paras to equity, and that's all they are asking. We spent more on parties for the 400th anniversary of this city than we are willing to pay the people who are in charge of our children. That's very good.
Thank you. If I'm keeping correctly, I'm ending with Frank in 20 seconds. Is that correct?
Is this the end of it?
No. I think you have 20 seconds.
All right, so just start talking?
So that was Mary Ellen was first. She's her 20 seconds. So Frank and Tracy, you each have 20 seconds left. Thank you.
Yeah, I worked 3 jobs and I put myself through college, which you'll never see anybody ever say that. My grades were pretty bad. I had to go down to 2 jobs. But when somebody says they need a loan or somebody's going to have to loan them money or they're going to have to find how to finance, if you want an education, you'll find a way to educate yourself. When I went to college, I actually enrolled in trade school because I didn't know if I was smart enough. And when I graduated trade school, the teacher said, "You're all obsolete. They're changing all the vehicles." So what happened was...
Frank, your 20 seconds are up.
You should finish that one next time, though.
Finish your thought. Would you like to finish your thought?
No, I lost it.
Very sorry. I'll take full responsibility for that. Trying to keep everyone honest. All right.
20 seconds?
Yep, Tracy has 20 seconds.
Okay.
And so we have the mic ready for the next person, but Tracy has 20 seconds.
Okay. So I definitely agree with Mary Ellen. Our pay structure for our school system is upside down. $198,000 a year for the superintendent is a bit much. And we do need paraprofessionals. We need good teachers. We need a good, strong school system. And there's too many chiefs and not enough Indians. Okay? So thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. All right. Please state your name. You have 1 minute.
My name is Jane Brancleone.
It is very obvious to most people that live here that we have an infrastructure problem as well as a parking problem, which has turned into a public safety problem. What would you consider doing to enforce some of our parking laws so that people who are crossing in a crosswalk are safe? Right now, people create their own parking spots, so people driving down the road can't see that there's someone waiting to cross, and it's very dangerous.
Thank you. So this will begin with Frank, and you have 1 minute.
I really think we should bring back resident sticker parking. A lot of times people, like for instance on my street, somebody rents like 3 U-Haul vans. I think they're running a business. I actually don't care. But what happens is they take up all the parking on that. Now, and when you talk about the influx of whoever those people are, say like it's 33,500, they're gonna bring at least 10,000 cars. They're gonna park them right in front of your house, and they're not gonna move them. So I mean, I really think we should bring back resident sticker parking.
Thank you, Frank. Tracy, you have 1 minute.
So recently at City Council, we passed an ordinance that states you can't park within, I think it's 20 feet of a crosswalk. And that was just on Rogers Street. Now that took up parking spaces too. So you have to weigh, you know, crosswalks, parking, but safety is number one. So maybe we should put no parking zones in front of crosswalks.
You still have time. That's it? Okay, thank you. Mary Ellen, you have 1 minute.
All of this comes down to enforcement of the rules that we have. It's pretty basic. Let's enforce the rules that we have. Let's get our police officers. I love you guys and ladies, but let's get them out of the cars and walking the streets and enforcing the rules. I know that the parking enforcement, they came right up to me when I wrote something about them not ticketing cars at Niles Beach, and she said, we are working very hard to do this. What you may not be aware of is we have electronic systems where they sit on the top of the car and they automatically are ticketing you, so you'll find out when it arrives in your mail. But the development, and this is an important fact also, the development that's going on, we're under this fantasy belief that the development that is happening in multi-family housings, everybody won't have a car because we're going to have a walking city. So if that is the mentality of what's going what they believe, oh, sorry. I'm not apologizing anymore.
No, I'm calling you the wrong name. Sorry. All right, so each of you have 20 seconds to respond to each other's comments if you so choose. Frank?
I'm gonna pass.
Okay. Tracy?
So yes, it does come down to enforcement. We need to get the police officers out and walking and giving a literal ticket on your car so you can see it happen. So more police presence will help. And that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Ellen, you have 20 seconds.
So enforcement's important, but the enforcement has to have teeth in it. If it's a $10 parking ticket for having your car there all day, it's not gonna, that's not enough teeth. It has to be stringent enough to where you are not going to do it again. And it has to be enforced, ticketed, and you don't necessarily have to have a ticket on your windshield because the first time you get a $100 ticket for parking on a crosswalk, you will remember to not park on a crosswalk again. And if you do, then you must have more $100 bills than you know what to do with. That's it.
Thank you.
It's almost in time.
All right, next question. Please state your name. You have 1 minute.
Hi, my name is Nicola Faber, and I just wanted to say I recently looked at the Airbnb data, and so there are 263 Airbnbs registered in Gloucester, and I just wanted to say that there's like an issue with no end in sight because, you know, everyone's saying that we have a lack of housing. We don't have enough housing in the city. We have plenty of housing. The problem is our housing is being taken up with Airbnbs at an increasingly alarming rate. So what's happening is we are building and building to provide more housing at a higher cost. It's causing stress on the infrastructure, which then is causing higher taxes, higher water, because we have to improve on our systems. And so landlords like me, okay, we're both landlords, we're having a harder time keeping these rents down. Okay, I rent a 2.5 bedroom apartment, hardwood floors, beautiful, $1,600, okay? I cannot keep my costs down because of the rising costs, and they're being caused by Airbnb.
Please ask the question.
What are your thoughts on restrictions for Airbnbs?
Thank you. All right, so this question will begin with Tracy. You have 1 minute.
That's a tough one because a lot of people need those Airbnbs, like you need your apartment. You're a landlord, right? So you rent an apartment?
I am, but that means that I can't provide affordable housing, so what's the option? I mean, because we can't. You guys are strangling us to the cost. I'm not, I'm just saying because they keep pushing all this housing development.
Right, right. So the problem is not necessarily the Airbnbs, correct?
No, it is because they're taking up 263 units, and they're renting them out by the week, by the day.
That's right.
Those aren't long-term rentals.
That's correct. But some of these people need that income to pay their mortgage because prices are so high, right? I don't have an Airbnb, just so that you know. Just get that straight. I understand that because the housing prices are so high that people need additional income to survive. So you have a second unit that you rent out, which is fabulous. I mean, $1,600 a month is what it should be. It shouldn't be, we shouldn't have to charge $2,000 for a 2-bedroom apartment. It's prices.
Sorry, you're both over. I need to stop that there to make this equitable, sorry. Mary Ellen, you have 1 minute.
So Airbnbs come about because they're a great investment. They're also a great problem in regard to exactly what you're talking about, taking up rentable space. So I don't know, again, what our authorities are and our limitations are for limiting Airbnbs that are simply an investment property where nobody is living in that property, renting out a room to supplement their income so that they can pay their mortgages. We need to find a balance between people who need to rent out a portion of their house for our visitors in the summer or whenever to go ahead and offset costs, but we need to limit somehow the Airbnbs that are purchased just for an investment. I don't know how to do that. I don't know the answer to that, but I know that communities all over this country are struggling with that and are regulating Airbnb usage and the way it can be managed in cities all over the place. So we can follow suit, we can find out best practices, and that's what we need to do.
Thank you. Frank, you have 1 minute.
When you're talking about allowing elected people who are going to overpopulate Gloucester, and you got the housing problem, what you should think about is water towers. Right now, if the city's water pump goes down, everybody loses pressure and nobody has water pressure. But if you had water towers, even in Rockport, and the water pump went down, you'd have at least a couple of days that you could still have water. And when you're talking about housing like that, that's one of the essentials to survival is an adequate water supply.
Thank you. Again, you each have 20 seconds to respond. Tracy, you're first.
There was a council order that came before the city council to regulate Airbnbs, and it got voted down. So I think it should come up again. It should be brought up again.
I know your neighboring communities are all imposing restrictions. Salem is,
Right.
and the problem is we're going to jump ship and we're going to go Airbnb. So
Understood.
you'll lose more housing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's the
Mary
responsibility of the city council to legislate the problems that are facing this city. If they're not doing their job by legislating, then there's a problem with the city council, whether it's a constant inequitable vote or whatever it is. We do need to protect landlords like yourselves who are trying to keep their their rents fair and low for people so that we can continue to have a service level industry of population here. That was a terrible sentence, but nonetheless, I appreciate your problem and I hope that we can solve it through legislation, through the city council.
Thank you. Frank?
The city should have a set of rules for all A, B, and B rentals. It should be different than all other housing. I see a lot of people, sometimes it's 20 people rent a house and they just stay up to 2 o'clock in the morning and they're just wrecking the place. So, really, I think there has to be a separate set of rules for A, B, and Bs.
Thank you. All right. Do we have another question?
Thank you. I've learned a lot here tonight. Frank Bellini, East Gloucester. A couple of quick questions that I hope won't require a lot of discussion. Frank mentioned municipal debt a couple of times tonight. What can you tell me about municipal debt? And do you have an online presence for your campaign? Can you give us email addresses so we can give you feedback and ask you questions?
Okay, so this question will be to Mary Ellen first.
Oh, gosh. Okay, so my email address is merosephd@rose4mayor, the number 4.com. The URL is rose4mayor.com. I do have a web presence. It's a nightmare to maintain, so just bear with me as it's being developed and building. Municipal debt is essentially, and Tracy, please correct me if I'm wrong, it's our unfunded debt, which is meant to cover retirement funds and benefits to employees that have since left their jobs, retired out. So we are supposed to be able to have money in a fund to cover all of those expenses in perpetuity. It's unfunded. There's supposedly a plan to have it funded. It has a cliff on it. I don't know enough about it to talk intelligently, other than I've been told it's unfunded and it's a large concern for a number of people.
Thank you. Frank, you have 1 minute.
The municipal debt actually has the civil service union's pension that was mentioned, and that pension fund is just level funded. What goes out comes in. They just put in what it takes. And really the city should pay attention to actually paying more towards the civil service union pension fund than just level funding it. In case there's a financial hiccup, I mean, people are going to be without their pension.
Thank you. Tracy, 1 minute.
Thank you. My email address is o'neillcampaign@gmail.com. My website is under construction. It's o'neillformayor.com. Unfunded liabilities are pensions, health insurance, and health insurance going forward. City councilors, after they serve 10 years, they have access to health insurance. It's not free, but it's discounted. So that might be something to look at. If you work for the city for 10 years, you have health insurance for the rest of your life. That's quite
generous.
Yes, quite generous. It's, I don't know any other job that happens. And I am a city councilor, so, you know, it's mind-blowing that we do that. I believe that our unfunded liabilities are supposed to be paid up by 2030.
Thank you.
That remains to be seen.
Mary Ellen, you have 20 seconds to respond.
So your federal government has an equally generous package as well, your senators and congressmen. So you should look into that if you ever want to have a set for life kind of a job. Take a job with the federal government. We have an equally generous package for you, just waiting to be taken advantage of.
All right. Frank?
I think that, I'm going to skip it.
Tracy?
I'm all set.
Okay.
I said.
So unfortunately, 1623 has 10 minutes left, and the program is designed to allow each candidate for a 1-minute closing statement. So I think it would be prudent at this time to go forward with that. So we started with Mary Ellen. It would be Frank, Tracy, Mary Ellen. Just wanted to give you three.
Can we start with Tracy?
Mary Ellen was first, so Frank would start first this time. So I just wanted to make sure that people, no?
Okay.
Am I wrong?
Opening statement, I made the first opening statement.
I just kept going with what we were doing right
now.
Oh,
okay.
That's,
okay.
I was just keep going with the order.
Let's just let Frank go.
So it would start with Frank, Tracy, Mary Ellen. I was just going with the continued order. So let's see. We each now have 1 minute for a closing statement, and I'll begin with Frank.
we are the generation that has chosen to either preserve and protect Gloucester from all different things such as destructive urban renewal. I mean, we walk down the street, we actually take it for granted. We don't realize that it's a very rare place on this earth to be raised here, to be born here, to walk around. Everybody wants to be here, but for them to be here, you have to destroy what's here. And once you start destroying Gloucester, it becomes something else. Take a look at Newburyport. They got rid of their maritime heritage, and all you see is just apartment building after apartment building, and it isn't triple families. They're big apartment buildings that hold 500 people, and these people are just gonna, as soon as the zoning swings their way, they're gonna just start building. You won't be able to stop them from building. That's how many people are gonna wanna come here.
Thank you so much, Frank. Tracy, 1 minute.
Thank you. I'm going to reiterate what I said in my opening statement. You have a choice. You don't have to settle for what's happening to your city. You should be a part of what happens to your city. I will encourage that in my administration. I will continue to have neighborhood meetings. I will continue to encourage my ward councilors to have neighborhood meetings, ward meetings. I will listen to you. You can call me, you can email me. I will call you back. This is your city. It's not my city. It's not Mary Ellen's, it's not Frank's. It's your city. It's everyone's city. We all love this city. That's why you're here. It's a beautiful place. It's a wonderful place. And we want to keep it a beautiful, wonderful place. And the only way we're going to do that is together. So I'm asking for your vote on September 19th so that we can keep our city, the beautiful city that it is, together. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Ellen.
Within the time and focus of this debate, I may not have been able to provide you with the full picture of my intent or understanding of these issues, but I can assure you of several things. First, I am capable of serving as mayor of this city. I have the experience, tenacity, and willingness to do whatever it takes to get the job done. Second, as mayor, my door will always be open. Third, and this is an important one, the hardworking, tax-paying residents of Gloucester will always come first where decisions for our community's functioning are concerned. Fourth, I will surround myself with the brightest, most trustworthy, hardest working people we have in this city and beyond to ensure that Gloucester is functioning at its best and preserving the elements that set us apart from the rest of this country. And finally, when it comes to managing the time, talent, and treasure of this city, I will lead with the same care, efficiency, and appreciation for the people involved that I have given every job I have ever held. We need to change the course we are on. We have an absence of leadership at a time when Gloucester should have someone at the helm ready to fight for the character and soul of this city. I am that someone, and I can assure you I am ready for the fight.
Fair for everyone. I know. All right. Here are my closing remarks. Thank you, candidates, your participation tonight and for your willingness to run for mayor of Gloucester. Good luck. Finally, I would like to thank our sponsors, Keep and Pack, and to you, the audience, for coming tonight. And please remember to vote on September 19th. And take a look around to your neighbors. And if anyone needs assistance, help them get to the polls. Thank you, and good night.